Okay, so in this lesson we're going to be adding the depth of field object buffer multipass, and really I think we'll be done by the end of this lesson and ready to render. Just this final camera, let's actually name just camera 5 and select all of the related cameras to this morph camera, Alt G, and let's just name it camera 5, 400, 500. And now what I can do is to select all of the cameras, Alt G, and let's name this null our camera setup, or cameras, or whatever, really it's up to you. And let's go to our layers, create a new layers, and name this our cameras. And let's hold down Control and drag this null into this layer. There we go. Now let's start with the depth of field, and the process of adding depth of field is for me is the most important thing when it time comes to compositing. So I have to make sure that I have a very nice depth of field for all of my cameras. So let's start from the first camera, which is basically here. Let's actually, what I do, sorry, let's hide this null, and we can now go through this first camera. So let's go frame 0 to 60 and set up depth of field for our first camera here. And we do need our main cloner, and that is not too bad. Now let's go to this camera. First thing, let's actually go to our render setting, and in your multipass you have this depth. So let's make sure it's here. You have your depth, and now you can basically go to the cameras here, and let's go to top view and define the range of our depth of field and the way we want the depth of field works. Select your camera, go to its attributes. Down here you can define the focus distance. So let's just go to something like, I think the middle of our scene would be a good focus point. So let's see, something like here. And then in the detail tab you have this DOF, which stands for depth of field for the front and for the end. Let's just enable this front one. And now basically you can set up your depth of field really easily, as you can see as you change here. So when you get away from the focus point, it's the value of end increases. Basically this now is your fall off, so the focus point will kinda decreases until in this point it's completely out of focus, and you can basically see nothing but blur. And you can change this fall off by moving this 0 centimeter value. So basically the 0 centimeter value is this center, and as you go you get more values. Let's go to something like now let's go to 500 centimeter, and also I'm going to enable depth of field rear blur. The real blur is here, and let's go to something quite big, and I'm going to sorry, just move this point here. Now let's go to that camera, and also let's actually enable our main cloner, even though it really doesn't matter because we have these layers representing them. So we have a quick render. So I'm just going to quickly render this frame here and see how our depth of field looks like. So let me pause the recording. Okay, so this is our first camera. As you can see, we have our focus point in the center, and as it goes to distance we get these fall off and this depth map. So this is nice, and let's actually start working on our next camera. Our next camera is here, and there we go. Now let's see what's going on with this second camera. Let me hide this first one and take a look at this second one. Select it and change its focal or its focus distance to something quite closer to the camera, and let's again enable the first of all enable the rear blur, and I think something like this should look like nice. And for the end, let's just have a test render and see how it looks like. Okay, and if we see any problem, we come back and render it again. So let's render a frame like this maybe, and maybe here, and see what's going on. Okay, I think what we can do is to make sure this focus distance is less than that. So let me render this frame and get back to you. Okay, so this is our second render, and this is the render here, and this is the depth map, which I think is nice. We got different patterns of grayscale values, and we have this sorta cylinders in our focus, so this is great. Let's go to our third camera. Now when time comes to the morph cameras, there are some regulations that you need to take into your consideration. Basically, morph camera morphs between everything in the two camera that are associated with the morph camera tag here. So you need to go there and define the depth of field for each of these two camera that are associated with your morph camera, and that is the way that it will finally work for you. So let's just disable this one. Let's work first of all on the our second camera, frame 200, even though it really doesn't matter that much depth of field for this scene, because we have to have in our focus all of these parts. So let's go to sorry, no, let's go to something like 500 here, and frame 220. So let's select this camera and start working on this. I'm going to make sure it's visible. Sorry, what I'm doing. Let me just get back to default camera for this view, and okay, now we should be able to see the camera. Okay, great. Now let's change its focus point again back to this part, and I think in this case this view would be much more better to setting up our front and rear blur. So in this case just rear blur really, because we don't have any kinda front blur, and I really need to make sure it's far away enough, and let's go to something like 1000 for this one too. Let's render this camera and see how the result would be. So the render is finished, and as you can see, if I go to my depth map, it's completely black. So basically it's sort of everything is in focus right now. So and this is a good thing. I would love to have a bit of depth map in maybe this part. So let's just adjust this camera a bit. I think that's just too much. Just make this 0, and that should give us a better solution. And let's see this time what we are gonna get. Okay, so this is finally finished, and you can see this gray values up here, and this is a good thing, but I just want to make it a bit more obvious really, and let's just have this thing something maybe like here, and hopefully this time it's gonna be working just fine for us. So let's just quickly render it again. Okay, so this is we're in a good point. As you can see, we have this gray values up here, and this is a good depth map. Let's just go quickly and do it for our last camera, frame 320. And basically, let's actually get back to this first one. Make sure we have the window for this one really doesn't matter. So let's just get to this second camera. I'm going to hide the other one, and let's just get the focus back to where it should be. So somewhere here, and enable the rear map, and let's go to something like here again. It's very doesn't matter really for in this case, so we can go really, for example, to something like this and get some really severe depth of field, but I don't think we're going to be needing this. And now you simply go to your morph camera and make sure you enable this depth of field map rear below, and it will kinda, as you can see, the value is changing because it's blending between the values from the first camera and the second camera. So let's just go to our morph camera and have a test render and see how our depth map looks like. Okay, there we go. So the render is finished, and we have a nice depth map, and I think we can continue with our this camera 4. Let's go to here, frame 276 to 335. So let's just go to that camera, and this is just one single camera, so it's much more easier to set up the depth map. And let's go back to this camera, and actually let me make sure to hide the cameras here and just to have this camera in overview. Again, let's go to our focus distance. I want to keep it really this high, something like this, and again enable this rear blur, and I really wanted something really severe depth map wise, so let's just go to something like this and see what we're gonna get. Let me just render the scene and see how the depth map looking like. Okay, really great. As you can see, we have this really nice severe depth map. The black pixels are in focus, and as we go toward white pixels, it gets more and more out of focus. So this is very nice, I think, for this camera. And for the final camera, I really don't think we need any depth of field, because as you can see, the motion is just something like this. So let's just go to that camera quickly, and it's frame 400 to 500, so really not much of depth of field. You just look at the your focus in the center. So we are ready to go, and the next thing, let's set up our object buffer for our different clones. So let's see what we can do. The studio, I'm going to go to Cinema 4D tags, compositing tag, and add an object buffer tag. So let's go to our object buffer number 1 for our studio, and the main cloners, I'm going to you can simply actually copy that other tag, but let's go to this compositing tag and object buffer 2 for these guys. And now let's go to this guy, and this is our core cloner, and add another compositing tag, and this is going to be our object buffer number 3. Let's go to our multipass here and add, right click and add 3 object buffers for the moment, and change object buffer 1, object buffer number 2, and object buffer number 3. And let's go to something like maybe this camera here, and frame 220. Okay, And also let's enable our hair back again. Let's have a quick render and see where we are for our object buffers. Okay, so this is the part render here. I didn't finish the whole render because we didn't need it. Now we have our depth map, we have the object buffer 1, which is our studio, object buffer 2, which is our main cloner, and object buffer 3, which is our cloner. We need a few more passes. One pass we need to figure out a way to have a pass for the hair here, and also I like to have ambient occlusion, so let's add those two paths. So let's just simply right click here and add ambient occlusion. Now to render to get the pass and get the multipass of these hair here, you need to, because we are using this hair material, you need to use a special pass called atmosphere multiply. So when you do that and when you render it, you're gonna get the hairs also. So I think let's have another quick render and I'll be back. Okay, there we go. So the render is finished, and we have the atmosphere multiply. You can see gives us the hair pass, very useful. We got our ambient occlusion, we got our depth, we have the object buffer 1, object buffer 2, and object buffer 3, and I think we are ready to go and do our renders. It's really impossible to go through the compositing for all the different cameras render because it takes forever. So I just pick one camera and render it, and then I will meet you soon with the renders inside After Effects. And the camera that I'm looking is possibly, let's see, it's gonna be this camera. Just have a nice look. We're going to be render these, and we do the compositing process inside After Effects. And even though we're just doing the compositing for this one camera, the process is so similar and you can do the rest yourself. Okay, let's go quickly over the render setting and how would you do that. So this is our cameras. Everything is really, as you can see, organized and nice. Now, when the time comes to render, for example, the camera that we want to render was the camera number 2 from frame 125 to frame 220. So basically, you go to your render setting in the output. First of all, define the dimension. Let's go to 1280 by 720. And make sure you got that exact frame range here, 125 and 240. And now in this save tab, you can actually go ahead and define where you want to save. So let me just, you can click here. Let's name this appropriately, camera 2 125 240. And so I just change the folder and you hit save. Now for the multipass, you can basically copy these guys or come here. It will open up in the same folder, and we can use the same name. Just I'm going to add an MP for multipass camera 2 125 240. Okay. And the next thing, uncheck this multi-layer file so you get your multi-passes each individually saved, not in one file. And also the file type, it's really up to you. The format I use mostly is Photoshop PSD. I like this Photoshop PSD format, and let's go to something like 16 bit per channel at least. And for here, the exact same thing is right. And compositing, it actually, because we have this camera moving, and if you want to get our camera inside After Effects, it is a good idea to actually save a compositing project file. Make sure to include 3D data, and you can write save right now, or if you just render, it will save it with your render. Anti-aliasing, I think something like best 1x1, 4x4, or 1x1, 2x2 is really up to you. You can change this value and see which will give you a faster and nicer render. So you have to kind of balance between speed and quality, and this is up to you. And here we in the global illumination tab, I think we really don't need to add the setting and make it more high quality, because we don't have a lot of reflections or a lot of light in our scene. So I think we can simply be happy with what we have right now. For the ambient occlusion, I'm just going to add a bit more quality. Let's go to something like 20 and 20 and 200, and the accuracy, I think something like 40 or even 30 would be nice. Let's go to just 40, and I think we are ready to hit render. And when the render is finished, we see each other inside After Effects.